Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing an album review on Chris Brown's new album, Heartbreak on a Full Moon. But before I get into the review, I wanted to let you guys know that, as I said in my previous video, I will be on a Monday, Wednesday, Thursday schedule. I wasn't able to do it this week, but starting next week, I definitely will be on that schedule. And later down the line, I will be adding a Friday video as well. So you'll have to stay tuned for that. So without further ado, let's get into this album review. So before I get started on this album review, I wanted to kind of tell you guys how I came about even wanting to do an album review for this particular album, being it is my first one on my channel. And I have lots of notes, so if I look down, plenty of notes because it was 45 tracks and yeah. So I wanted to do a review on Chris Brown's album because he's been doing a lot of performances and radio interviews, and what made me decide to actually do an album review is last week Chris Brown, he missed a radio interview with The Breakfast Club, and Charlemagne the God came out and said that sorry if I'm looking down, I have a lot of notes, said that he kind of called him out for missing the interview and said that he looks like he's on drugs when he's on his interviews, and God bless to him, and he hopes that he's okay. And that for some reason sparked an interest for me to want to do an album review for his upcoming album, because I felt that was pretty harsh. Now let me kind of rewind a little bit. There are a lot of people who are anti-Chris Brown, and they actually boycott Chris Brown because of his behavior in the past. And I, for one, was one of those people who was not a Team Breezy fan, and I wasn't pro Chris Brown because of that. But when I heard about what had happened and what Charlemagne said, I just kind of started to think about it. And yes, Chris Brown did some horrible things in the past, but as another human being, for me, I don't see how it's my place to judge anyone. And if he felt that there was something wrong, I would maybe reach out to him kind of behind the scenes. I don't think I would have called him out or made such a bold statement for everyone to hear, just because what if he was going through something or is going through something? I don't think calling him out in the way that he did would even help him. So to me, that kind of made me want to kind of dive in and look at some of his interviews and some of his performances that he did within the last week or so to kind of give him a fair chance, or give his album a fair chance, because I didn't want to go into this review with my personal thoughts about what he's done. More so, I wanted to do a review just on basically the music. I wanted to kind of give him a clean slate and just focus on the music. So the first thing that I did before even starting my album review process is I watched a few of his interviews that he did. And also I watched a Tidal performance that he did. He did a pop-up show for his fans on the 25th of October, I believe, which actually went live on Tidal as well. And it was a free pop-up show for his fans. And he did a lot of his hit songs. He didn't really perform full songs, and his vocals were a little bit off. And he did say that the reason why he missed the Breakfast Club performance on his Instagram is because he was in the studio and his voice was really, really hoarse. So if that was the case, that definitely kind of showed in that performance. And I'm just gonna go in a little bit more about the whole Chris Brown situation. Like I said before, again, I don't really condone what he did in the past, but I can't take away from the fact that I do think that he is a musical genius. he has so many hit songs. He's a great performer. He's an amazing dancer. He has music and performance wise, he's above amazing. He's like, he's one of the best performers that's out right now. A lot of his personal issues, unfortunately, kind of overshadow that, I think. So I also, in preparing myself for his review, I saw his Netflix special or movie special that he has, Welcome to My Life. And I wanted to watch that too, just to, again, make sure that I was going into the music review with a clean slate, and I was going in only focusing on the music, and I wanted to, like I said, give him a fair shot. So I found it very interesting, and if you haven't watched it, you should. He went into how he started at 15. He was pretty open and honest about everything that he went through, good and bad. He started when he was 15. He blew up like right away, which I'm sure anyone at 15, that would have been ridiculously hard to cope with. You go from being from a small town to blowing up and everybody knowing who you are and girls chasing after your bus and like vehicle. I mean, that I'm sure that wasn't something easy for him to go through. He did state that Michael Jackson is actually his idol. It also had guest appearances on it. He did also go into his love affair with Rihanna as well as Karrueche. But basically what I got out of it more so than anything is that he is a human being. He's under a really tiny microscope, and he is scrutinized so badly that even if someone was to have made a mistake under that type of microscope, I'm pretty sure it's super difficult for someone to come out of that and to actually find positivity when there's so much negativity around you. I just hope that he's able to continue in a positive path, and he's able to do that. He also goes into how he found out about his daughter Royalty, and he said that fatherhood made him grow up and it shaped him into to be a real man. And I do feel that since he has been a father, he seems to be a little bit more mature than he was before. I thought that the Netflix movie special was actually really good. And again, if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. So Heartbreak on a Full Moon is the title of Chris Brown's new album. And this was a really hard review to do. He had 45 tracks, and in total it's 2 hours, 38 minutes and 27 seconds. I actually had to take a break because after like song 22, I was like, I don't think I can do this anymore. So as I said, 45 tracks. I'm not gonna go over all 45 tracks. I will list the full album, all the tracks at the end of this video. I'm just gonna touch bases on some of my favorites and some things that I noticed throughout the album. So the first track was Lost and Found. I really like that song. Sorry, I have like tons of notes, so I have to like flip because it's a lot. So actually I'm gonna go back a little bit. I'm gonna start with the cover of the album. I am not a fan of the cover. I get it's Heartbreak on a full moon, so there's a heart in front of a full moon, but the heart's like bleeding, and I don't know. He's a very artistic person. I feel that artistically he could have came up with something a little bit better for an album cover, but that's his vision. He's the artist, so that's what he went with. So it is what it is. So as I was saying, the first song on the album is Lost and Found, and that is one of my favorites on the album. Lost and Found to me is kind of like a troubled relationship that goes up and down, and then you kind of are lost in it, and then you kind of like find out the truth is kind of what I took from it. Again, with music, one person can take the lyrics one way, someone else can take it another way. That's just how I felt when I listened to it. The next song that was one of my favorites is Privacy. That had a sample of the Tied Up Skirt by Red Cat. It was a 1997 song that came out. There's a sample of that song in that song. Everyone's already heard Privacy because that is a single. Another one of my favorite songs is Juicy Booty. That one has Janae Aiko and R. Kelly featured on it. And that one, I was listening to it and I was like, I know I heard a song in that song before, or or a song that sounds like that before, and I was correct. It was the 1982 song Cutie Pie by One Way, which it has like a kind of old school feel. I really love that song too. And my probably absolute favorite song, well, I have two that are like even, I'm not really quite sure which one I like more, would be the title track, Heartbreak on a Full Moon. That is a beautiful song. I love that song. Like, I can listen to that song all day, every day. That is just a really, really, really beautiful song, and I love it. Another one of my favorites is Tempo. Oh, I love that song too. It had you. As soon as it came on, I just started dancing to it. I actually listened to it a couple times before I actually went on to the next song. I like that song a lot. Questions is another one of my favorites. That one has a little a sample of Kevin Little's Turn Me On from 2004, I believe. Has a sample of that in that song. Another favorite, Handle It, excuse me, which has DJ Loaf and Lil Yachty on it. I like that song. I like Party with Usher and Gucci Mane. I do like Pills and Automobiles, but I will say I wish he would have titled that song just Wet. I mean, I don't know, maybe not Wet, but that's just what comes to my mind. I wish he would have titled it something different. Now, in an interview that he did last week, he did say that, I have to keep looking down, I apologize. He did say that in the song, he says, popping all these pills, she says she's used to it. She want to go way up. Okay, baby, if you're used to it, and I know that you're a grown woman, and I know that you know what you're doing. So he said he was not saying that you should pop pills. He was basically saying that he's talking to a girl in the song, and that's something that she does, and she's grown, so she can do what she wants to do, because he's going to assume that she's able to handle herself, I guess, basically is what he was trying to say. And I get that, because as a musician and an artist and a creative person, sometimes you create something with one way of thinking, but not everyone's going to take it that way. And I just feel like he does have a lot of fans who may not take it in that content. So for me, I wish he would have titled it something different, but I do like that song as well. Nowhere is another one of my favorites, and that song reminds me a tad bit, I don't think there's a sample of it on that. I don't think that song is a sample, but I do, or have, I don't think that song has a sample of this song on it, but it reminds me of that PM Dawn song off of the Boomerang soundtrack. I Die Without You, that song off of the Boomerang soundtrack. It has the same kind of feel to it. So I really, because I like that song, I really like Nowhere as well. Paradise, that song I thought was a pretty vulnerable song for him to put on the album. I took it as like, you fell out of paradise, you kind of fell out of love, and you messed up something really good, and now you have to deal with the heartbreak that you're going through because of it, and you're not able to get that back. So that's how I took it. I really like that song as well. Also the song Even, which has a reference to Michael Jackson's Remember the Time, which is no surprise, because again, MJ is his idol. Also This Way, another one of my favorite songs. That one has a reference of the Outkast, baby. Yeah, I can't sing, I'm not gonna sing, but has Outkast, Rosa Parks, kind of in a reference to that song in there. I also like the song Only For Me with Ty Dolla $igns and Bert Simmons. That's a really great song. And Grass Ain't Greener. That was the final song that I really liked as well. I felt like that was a super vulnerable song too. And I felt like he kind of put his emotions like and how he was feeling straight on that track and kind of left it there. His ups, his downs, everything that he's gone through. So that song was actually one of my favorites as well. So those were the 15 songs that I really enjoyed on the album, and just a few other things I wanted to point out. I know a lot of people were talking about the Everybody Knows song because they're saying it's not directed to, but it's about Karrueche Tran, his ex-girlfriend, because he says everybody knows about you and they shouldn't effing know about you is one thing he says, and then he says something like, not verbatim, but I was first to put you in a foreign, before me you weren't important. So a lot of people are saying that song was about her because he said that in the song. Whether it is or not, we're not gonna know. To My Bed also had a Usher Nice and Slow reference in it. I like that song too, but again, I just picked my top 15. Hope You Do has a tiny reference to Donell Jones' Where I Wanna Be, and that I thought was a really cool song as well. So overall, I really enjoyed the album. I would say how I rate albums is if I can listen to it from the start to the end. Overall, I would have to say I would probably give it 3.5 to 4 stars out of 5, probably more like 3.5 stars, because when listening to it, like it does start to slow down a bit in the middle, and some of the songs in the middle, I personally would probably skip through, but overall, it was a really good album. I feel like he was more personable and more vulnerable, and he kind of put himself out there a bit more, and I think that's why he's so excited about this album, and that makes me excited for him. Anytime an artist, for an artist to put themselves out there and to even release 45 songs is something amazing and something he should be proud of altogether, period, because that's hard to do. 45 songs, your average album, what, 12 to 15 songs? I mean, even 20 is a pretty good album, but 45, that is crazy. So for him to be able to put himself out there and to release all 45 tracks, kudos to him. Again, this review is strictly about how I felt about his album, and just looking at the interviews that I looked at within the last week or two, and looking at his kind of, I guess, movie on Netflix, his performances, I have kind of changed my mind a little bit about how I feel towards him, because I do feel that people deserve a second chance and people deserve to be forgiven. I do understand that some people some people may not agree with that, but I do think that if people are trying to be positive and they're trying to change, they should have the option to do that. To you, Chris Brown, great job on your album. Super happy for you. Hope everything goes in the way that you want it to. I hope that you stay positive. Good luck to you and your daughter. Heartbreak on a Full Moon is a really good piece of work and you should be proud of it. And on that note, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you liked my first album review. If there's any other albums that you want me to review, make sure you let me know down below. Also, positive comments, you can leave those down below as well. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, you click the like button, and you also make sure you turn that little notification bell on as well, so that way you know when I will be posting new videos. Again, sorry for not being on the Monday, Wednesday, Thursday schedule this week, but I promise you guys I will be on that schedule next week for sure. And stay positive, and thank you guys so much. Peace.